Just wanted to let you know we're here for the second iteration of Talk to Goose. This time we have Master Sergeant AmmoDude, a World of Tanks player, military veteran. He's going to share a little bit of his experiences with us. So I'm going to let him take it away.
Wow, okay. Like you said, I'm Master Sergeant, retired, U.S. Air Force, AmmoDude. Been playing tanks for quite a while now. Great community, great guys like Goose out there supporting us and giving us a forum to have a good time talking to fellow tankers.
Yeah, it's cool that you say that, and it's interesting. We have so many veterans that play this game, and people currently serving. A lot of them actually come into my channel on Twitch, and we all chat and hang out and do the thing. So if you don't mind, AmmoDude, if you could share kind of a little bit about what your service, where you started, that would be awesome.
Oh, it goes back a long ways, man. Right out of high school, 6 days after high school, I started in the Army National Guard. Went to basic at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, then on to Fort Gordon for what we call AIT, for communications, basically radios.
Okay.
So I did 2 years in the Army Guard. During that time, I decided that I wanted to go active duty. And in the 80s, it was kind of a different world for us. Back then, it was peacetime, post-Vietnam, pre-anything in the Middle East. And it was a really good time to serve in the service. So there was a lot of folks that wanted to get in there.
Right.
So I approached the recruiter for the Air Force, and I was told, yeah, we're good. We have all the amount of people we need and really don't need anybody else. So come back in a couple months. So we ended up making a connection because my little brother was in Cub Scouts and he was a Cub Scout leader. So he helped me out based on that, believe it or not.
Wow.
And helped me get into the Air Force. So ended up having to wait about 9 months to get in. So ended up getting in the Air Force of April 1984 and went to basic training in Colorado. I'm not sorry, San Antonio.
Did you
spend 3 weeks there?
Did you fly any planes during your time?
No, I was enlisted folks don't fly.
Okay.
We actually do all the support. I got into munition systems, which is where we built the bombs, stored the bombs, bullets, everything from, a M16 bullet all the way up to nuclear weapons. So we handle the full gamut.
Holy smokes.
During my career, I worked in my first base was at Edwards Air Force Base, which was the aircraft testing wing, where we actually tested the B-1B bomber, a couple iterations of the F-16, worked with all of the test aircraft and the configurations for how they carry munitions. So we did a lot of that testing. So it was a really cool first base.
I'd say
out in the middle of the Mojave Desert. Yeah, Edwards Air Force Base.
Man, I tell you, because I'm sure you can tell kind of by the stuff behind me, I'm a little bit of a fighter plane junkie. I think they're fantastic. A lot of respect for the things you guys do. My dad's a pilot, so it means a lot when I hear other pilots and other people who work with planes, around planes, those kind of things. It's neat. So I kind of get why your name is AmmoDude now, working with all of the different types of ammunition. So that's really cool.
We're called ammo troops in the Air Force. That's the 461s, 2WOs. Our career field, we're called ammo. So that's where I picked up the AmmoDude.
That's cool. So you just kind of went with it.
Yeah. I mean, I've had that handle since probably 95.
Yeah, it's a good long ways, man. 25 years.
Yep.
25 years. So after you went to Edwards, where did you head to?
After Edwards, I did a trip to Korea. I was in Osan Air Base, Korea. And I worked at Edwards, I built bombs and I built test bombs for the different aircraft. And then at Korea, at Osan, I was in the missile shop. So we built all the air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles that were fired from our aircraft.
How long were you there, stationed?
First trip, I was there for 14 months. And that's called a short tour, where you go over there and there's no family. You just go over there, live in the barracks, and everybody's there for a year. So it's called a remote short tour. So
you're there for 14 months. You said the first time. Does that mean you've been back there?
I spent a total of 6 years over there. So I went back in 89, and I was there from 89 to 94.
Did you enjoy your time in Korea?
Yeah, a little too much, I think. It's a lot of work. You're working 10-hour day minimum. You're working 6 days a week, at least when I was there. It's a lot of hard work. You get about 4 years experience for your 1 year there, I would say. So
Wow.
it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie. You're living with the guys you're working with. Squadrons are based together in the barracks, so you're living and working with the same folks. So you get some really, really tight bonds.
Do you still talk to some of your friends from those days?
Oh yeah, I've got friends out there that all over the country that are I talk to virtually every day, every week, and through Facebook and the other social media platforms, we're always in touch. So yeah, there's some lifelong friendships that you make.
That's awesome, man. Like that's, as a kid, when you go to school, you get your friends that you meet in grade one, and you kind of go with them the whole time, and then as you get older, you sometimes get separated. But it sounds to me it's kind of like a situation where these guys are buddies for life kind of deal.
Yeah. And it's funny when you run into a guy that you were really close with years and years down the road, and it's like you pick up from scratch. It's like you never left and you're back to being best friends. So it's a great community, but it does build kind of a nomadic mindset in some folks. So, just don't stick around in one place very long. That's kind of my story.
Yeah, I mean, you've been to a few different places. I did hear a rumor, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, from a gentleman named Irish Dreams. Something about a Pearl Harbor movie.
Well, I was the explosive safety manager for Hickam Air Force Base in Hawaii, and they film a lot of movies over there, as you know, Jurassic Park.
Right.
And they were filming Pearl Harbor on our base. So I was the U.S. Air Force's explosive safety rep for any on-base shooting. So, that scene in the movie where they have a good night out in the town, and they're kind of passed out in the backseat of the convertible,
Yeah.
overlooking the water. Well, that's Foster Point, which is on my base, Hickam Air Force Base.
Okay.
I am sitting literally 45 feet away from them as they're in that car for that scene, because I was sitting with Bay, the director, and watching them film this thing. And my wife and daughter were across the little ship channel, like 200 yards away, watching from there as we filmed that whole scene. It was an amazing day. Got to meet all those guys, Affleck and Hartnett, and we had a good day.
No
we
way.
did a few of those shots. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
man. That must have been
Hung out
really
with
cool.
those guys.
Are they down to earth, like cool, like down to earth guys?
Hartnett was really cool. He basically was just getting started in the business, as far as getting any notoriety. So he was really mellow, cool guy. Affleck, typical Boston kid, more interested in the women than talking to some
guy.
old dude like me. So, he was focused on the young security forces female standing there than me. But yeah, he was cool to hang out with.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh man, that's awesome. Cool little stories, like things that you got to experience because of the time you were serving.
And I was also in the movie Wind Talkers as an extra, so I got to be in that. Did you ever see that movie Wind Talkers?
Wind Talkers. No,
About
I haven't.
The Navajo code talkers that during World War II they spoke Navajo over the radio because the Japanese couldn't break that language.
Just 1 second. I'm taking a look right now. I have heard of it. Oh yes, okay.
Yeah.
So you were in that.
John. Yeah, I was an extra. So when you see all those Marines running across the field, getting blown up, I was one of those guys.
No
In fact,
way.
the special effects guy that did the shot with me at Hickam, when they got strafed, he was doing this. He was working the movie Wind Talkers, and so he and I got to be kind of friends on the set of Pearl Harbor. So he saw me as an extra in there running across the field several times. And as I jumped over one of the shots he was setting off, he sent me flying through the air with it. So he thought that was funny. I didn't.
No.
Ended up breaking my rubber gun and getting in trouble because I broke my rubber gun when I fell.
You got shit for something that somebody else did.
Yeah, he sent me flying with an explosion and I got in trouble. So it's all in fun, right?
How dare you break your rubber gun? That's funny. I'm gonna actually go find a clip of that scene, and I'll probably put it in the video at the end for people to check out to see, because I think it'd be kind of funny to have that clip But
Yeah,
yeah,
actually,
that's really funny. That's awesome that you got to experience that.
yeah, it
Um,
was fun.
was there any other things that you remember seeing that kind of really stood out to you? Like, man, this is super
Well,
cool. I wish more people could see this.
in that movie or in my
No,
time over there,
in your time.
I think the most fun I had over there was when being in an executive slot where I worked for the wing commander, one deep slot for explosive safety. I got kind of privy to a lot of things that were going on. So Delta Force would come in, and we had a bunch of old bunkers on the base there, facing the ocean from World War II, where artillery would be waiting for any sort of invasion.
Right.
Well, they're all kind of they're abandoned, derelict, but they're open. So Delta Force would get volunteers, and we'd be me and another guy that worked being safety and a couple other folks, and they would put us in little flak vests and helmets and hand us these MP5 9mm rifles. A lot of the cops use them with what's called sim bullets, which is a regular bullet with a paintball projectile.
Okay.
And they would have to come. They would come to the beach in a boat, and they would infiltrate the bunker, and us bad guys would be holding a hostage somewhere interior of the building, and then we'd have to set up like defensive perimeters for them to get through to go in and free the hostages. So
Oh,
we would
that's
do this
neat.
about twice a year, and it was as close to real world, your hair raising, getting shot at and shooting back at people that you could ever do. And
Oof.
I love that. I will never forget that for my entire life, shooting up Delta Force and then just getting destroyed by them. So they are very good, and they will take casualties, and they did. So I have a lot of respect for those guys because they just press on with pride, and it's an amazing thing. But I just enjoyed the heck out of that. That was the highlight of my time over there.
It sounds like the ultimate paintball game. Like
The
the ultimate, like, this is the real deal. This is
Yeah.
gonna suck, and scary. That's I
Well,
think what every paintballer dreams of.
the best one I had was they were coming in through like a narrow corridor coming in from the exterior to the interior, and there was a air vent that went out through the wall and it was made of metal. So I bent it out so it had like a V in it that I could see through. And as they were walking by, they didn't know I was there. And I let the first three go by. And the next guy, I just opened up on them full auto. Next thing I know, a muzzle of an M16 came in and just shot like an inch from my face, a full magazine of Sims. And I took off running after that. But that was one of my
Oh
most
my
outstanding experiences.
goodness.
But I did get two of them. So, but I
Oh
paid the price later on.
yeah, I bet you did. I'm sure they're like, you're the guy, eh?
Yep.
It was
Yep.
you.
Yep. They lit
We're
me
we're
up.
we're going out drinking later, friend.
No, no, you don't drink with Delta,
No.
especially if you're not Delta. No,
Uh
no. You end up tied up somewhere. No,
oh.
pass.
End up tied up somewhere. Oh my
Especially
goodness.
being Air Force. So, yeah. So, yeah, it was a great 7 years. I finished out my career there and had a really great trip over there. And it's lighthearted, and yeah, my experience in the military was mostly fun. There was some real suck out there, trust me, like in Kuwait. But the
Yeah.
majority of my time in the military was an amazing career. Got a lot out of it. So, I had the really good military experience.
Right.
A lot of guys out there that are really hurting, and I really feel for those guys. So don't take my lighthearted experience with the military as
Not
the
at all.
common experience. It's
No.
probably not.
It depends too. Like, we're talking a bit about this, and my great grandfather served in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
He was a medic, or World War One. Sorry. He was a medic. He was in the medical, so he was the guy who would treat the soldiers and stuff like that. He never really saw
Yeah.
combat. But he was a captain actually in the military in
Nice.
World War One. So I
Yeah.
get it. It really kind of depends on what your role is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple guys that I know. For instance, Affiance. He's a gentleman that I'll be interviewing at some point. Who he's a soldier. Like, he's in the
Yep.
desert training. He's frontline. Then there's the support guys like yourself. Building ammunition for the planes, stuff like that. Like
Yep.
it takes a lot of things to make it work.
Right.
So
Well, in the Air Force, we have this joke we tell. We send our officers out to fight, but it's true. at least back in the day when I was in, we'd load the bombs on the airplane, they would take off and go drop them. And, we're in the rear with the gear. So my military career was really great. It helped me in my next life. I was able to go to school for free, get my degrees done. There's a lot of guys out there who right now are sitting somewhere in Afghanistan having rockets lobbed at them, trucks blown out from under them. So I have the utmost respect for the guys serving now, because it's a completely different military than when I was in.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to downplay that experience for them.
And that's kind of why I'm looking at interviewing all kinds of people from different walks during the, of their time in the military. That's my big thing. I want to interview all kinds of different people for it, because everybody has a story, whether it's good, bad, whether their experience was good or bad. Everybody's got a story, and it's all about the respecting of the military and the servicemen that selflessly are out there all the time doing those things. Like for you yourself, even with the ammunition, you could have had a slip up and blew a hand off.
Well, that's why I went into safety, because there's people getting hurt that didn't need to get hurt. So, I transitioned into the safety role because I got tired of seeing people get hurt over things that were avoidable. So and then I spent my remaining 7 years as a weapons safety and flight safety NCO, which is really where I found my sweet spot.
What did you do kind of as the NCO in like safety? What kind of training would you give people?
Well, we had a couple responsibilities. First one was to go out and make sure everybody was handling the explosives safely, storing them safely, according to the manuals and the regulations. We would also design and site explosive facilities and anywhere that explosives would be stored, and we would calculate what they call quantity distance arch, where you take the amount of explosives and the amount of damage. Remember that explosion that just happened over in the Middle East where that building went up?
Yes.
And it took out that. Okay, so that's what I planned as a worst case scenario for a building when I established where a building could go and what could be in it. So when you saw that building go up, you saw that white like mushroom cloud go out, right?
Right, yeah. So what's that pressure called? Okay, pressure.
That's the pressure wave. And that pressure wave, based on explosives principles, is typically when that is hitting you, it's 15,000 pounds per square inch of pressure, overpressure it's called, and that goes out in a wave, like a line. And you saw that line coming, and as it hit, that's when the destruction hit. And that gets mitigated by distance. So the farther out, the less effective it is.
Less pressure hits you.
Yes. My job was to figure out how we could store the explosives in a facility and mitigate, if there is an explosion, how to mitigate it, keep it very confined. And our facilities were built to blow straight up, not out. And we also had stored the munitions so that if one went off, it wouldn't propagate to the next one. So you look at distances between, structure between. There's different mitigation factors that we would put into place for each explosive magazine to make sure that it stayed below what would they call a mass detonation.
Like a chain reaction.
Yeah. Yeah, a deflagration where it would go one to the next simultaneously, and it's compounding the amount of force as opposed to mitigating it. So that's what we did.
So the fact that stuff was stored in the downtown factory is a little silly.
Well, and ammonium nitrate is unstable as it is anyway, and anything that could be an accelerant to that, like, say fireworks. That's why when you saw that initial fire, you saw the mini explosions going off in there.
Yeah.
And then finally there was enough heat, enough energy stored up where it went mass deflagration, where it went mass detonation. And that's what caused the huge overpressure cloud.
Yeah,
so
it was enough.
I
watched a few of the videos, and I watched the clouds get blown away.
In
the sky above.
It was kind of weird because when that happened, my old chief of safety, he was a lieutenant colonel that I worked for in Hawaii. He's now living up in Raleigh, Durham. He called me out of the blue. He was like, "Did you see that?" And I said, "Yeah." We started talking about what would have caused it. It was hilarious. So, yeah.
That's funny. I guess you don't know, like being a civilian myself, like you kind of just go with what you're told. And I just knew that it was a big, it couldn't have been just something small, because the amount, the cloud, the mushroom cloud that it produced was pretty substantial.
And ammonium nitrate, I mean, that's what they took out the Murrah Federal Building with. It's a very potent explosive. And so when it went up, and it went mass det, and you saw the destruction. So that's what my job was, to mitigate and keep from happening through design of facilities, as well as inspecting to make sure things are stored according to regulation with the proper distances and quantities. So I did that for 7 years, and I loved every minute of it.
That's a lot of math.
Mm-hmm. That's why they make calculators.
Oh man, that's really cool, man. Your experiences seem cool. I'm curious. What is the coolest plane that you kind of have ever worked on?
I didn't work on it, but I got to be around the SR-71.
Blackbird?
Which was, yep. I was stationed at Edwards, my first base, and that thing would, as I was waiting to cross the active flight line to bring munitions to the B-1B or whatever, that thing would come in and would do what's called a touch and go, where they have to, when they're practicing landing, right? That thing would come down, and it would come down so fast, and it would just barely touch the wheels and go straight up. It was the most awe-inspiring thing you ever saw in your life when that thing went up. It was just amazing.
I heard that.
And then I got to...
From the SR-1, I remember, because like I said, I'm big into airplanes. Is it true that it would have to refuel immediately after takeoff because as the plane heated up, it like fused together?
Yeah, it leaked like a sieve on the ground because it was flying at super high altitude.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it would refuel. And again, that thing would fly for, around the globe practically at supersonic speed. So again, everything with that thing is so secret.
Yeah.
Even to this day, it's been mothballed. You don't ever see anything about them coming out. Super secret. So
yeah, I know. I've read some stuff on them just because I like I said, that's kind of how I knew on the ground they had to be immediately refueled when they hit the air because they leaked badly and they needed to fuse together as they was flying. It would heat up, I guess, and everything would kind of just become one.
Yeah, the pressurization inside the aircraft would seal it. Yeah, it leaked like a sieve on the ground. So
that's cool, man.
But again, I never saw it sit on the ground. I only saw it do a touch and go and be up. Wherever it was based, it was not based at Edwards. It would just come in and touch and go.
Come in and go.
I worked on the first B-1B, so I got to see that. And I was there when the first B-1B test aircraft crashed.
Oh,
and wow. It killed their chief test pilot. So that was a rough day.
Yeah, man.
I got to watch the space shuttle land at Edwards every time it came down.
That'd be kind of cool to see, actually.
Yeah, very cool. Did a lot, in my 20 years, I had a really lot of great experiences, seeing a lot of really cool things. Built a lot of first-time munitions that were built by and dropped by the Air Force that I actually built. And that was really cool. So,
that's awesome.
And
yeah, what brought you to World of Tanks? I'm curious.
I think YouTube, because I was scrolling around on YouTube and I saw this really cool game called World of Tanks on there. And I started watching, and it looked super cool. And I was looking for something, and I had a Mac back then, so I ended up doing Blitz. I know. Yeah. I started out on Blitz, and I played Blitz like every day. And it was just something I was addicted to. And I thought that was World of Tanks, honestly.
Oh, wow.
And I kept watching these YouTube videos, and I'd see 15 on each side. I'm like, what the hell? What version of Blitz is this? And I didn't know anything. So eventually I figured out, that's the PC version. And then I ended up buying a new PC and then started playing PC probably in like 2017.
Did you buy the PC to play tanks?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
And I literally started out on a laptop with crappy laptop with crappy internet, and so if you look at my win rate and you look at my my stats coming up,
doesn't matter.
It's crap.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm living with the sins of my past right now because I was playing on literally with a mouse and on my lap, with a laptop.
Don't feel bad. I got a buddy of mine in game. His name is Major Shran, and for the first 17,000 battles he played, he did it on a laptop as well that didn't have a video card in it. He couldn't play anything above tier 3 because it was too laggy. So he literally has like almost 8,000 games in a little TD at tier 3. It's like the American TD. I can't T82, I think. He's got like 8,000 Martyr, the Martyr 2, German TD, Martyr 2. 8,000 battles in that tank and everybody kind of was like, why? Like, He's like, it's literally the only tank I could
Well,
play on this laptop. So
here's how stupid I was. When I joined, they were giving away the Swedish female crew. Remember, they brought the
yeah,
Swedish tank line in, and they gave everybody these female crew members that were like already had brothers in arms,
yeah,
2 skills, right?
yep.
I got rid of them because I'm like, what do I need them for?
Oh
So
my god.
again, noob as noob could possibly
Oh
be.
man.
Didn't understand anything about training crews. Why would the hell would you do that? So
Right.
again, I had to learn all that thing, and I think YouTube was something I really, was thirsty for, and I would watch every tank video I could see. Quickie Baby, all those guys, Jingles, and I
funny.
loved watching those videos, and then coming home and totally sucking.
It'd be
when I
like, I
played
got
figuring
this. I'm gonna do this stuff.
Oh.
I just watch them. I got this. That's like you try and you die. It's
Yeah.
like what?
Well,
What?
We didn't have reusable med kits. We didn't have reusable.
Yeah, I remember that.
you
I
know,
played back then, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
So
the
you
worst.
lose your commander.
It's the
Yeah,
worst. You
you're
bring your
done.
commander back once, and then
Yep.
if anyone else, then right after you bring your commander back, your loader dies, and then you're like, really?
Yeah.
Really? This is what we're doing right now? Lose your
Well,
loader, and then like it sucks. Like being ammo racked and losing your loader
Yeah.
in one game, and you're playing like a bat chat, for instance, where the reload is like 40 seconds, right? And then you lose your loader, that doubles it, and then you lose your ammo rack, and now your reload is like a minute
Or
and
your
40 seconds.
or your
It's crazy.
engine, and you're going around half a mile an hour for the
Yeah.
rest of the game.
Yeah, I
Now,
remember those
I think that made us better players,
back in the day.
because we had the grind was a real grind. There were no books to train your crews
No.
with.
Yeah.
There was no reusable kits, and I was playing. If I had 100,000 credits, I thought I was rich.
Yeah. Now
So,
it's like you have 100,000
yeah.
credits. You're grinding anything you can to get it. But you know what, dude? I appreciate you coming by, sharing your experiences. Did you ever see any tanks in your military days?
Oh, my buddy was a tanker when I was in the Army Guard for that 2 years. My buddy was a tanker in the Army National Guard. He drove an M60. So we would get in the M60 and go drive it around, have fun. I was part of a recruiting force where we would fly a helicopter, UH-1H, into high schools, and we would land in the field, and we'd do this little mini, deployment out of the back of the helicopter, pretending we were going to shoot, and then they'd pull up in a Jeep with a 50, and then we'd have an APC come up with a 50. So I spent a lot of time in the APC, a lot of time in my buddy's M60. Never did firing or anything, but I got to drive around in it.
An M60?
Yeah.
Don't
Tank.
worry. There's no codes, guys. I don't have any codes. Anyone watches this? No M60 codes. Sorry. You can bug Tragic Loss and Domo Sapien for those.
There you go. Yeah. So spent some time in the M60. Never got in the M1. He got the M1 after I went in the Air Force, so I never got to drive the M1, which would have been super cool.
What's it? Is it tight inside the M60? Is it like a small? Is it?
Well, it's not built for big people.
All right, I'm not fitting in there. I get you.
Yeah. If you get in there, you're gonna have a hard. It's tight. Yeah, it's tight, and everything's sharp. It's crazy to me these people survive this thing. It's just nuts. But
Everything's sharp.
I tell
What do
you,
mean?
well, there's a lot of corners, a lot of metal. There's a lot of everything around you. That's why they wear helmets and yeah.
Oh,
But
wow.
again, I mean, it works. They're driving through some crazy terrain, but that's why they're tankers, and that's why I was in the Air Force.
That's awesome, man. I'm gonna let you know, man. I appreciate you taking your time today for the video.
Of course.
It means a lot to me, dude. We'll definitely have to get some games in together.
Heck yeah.
And I'm gonna put some links, guys, below for the SR1 and for some of the vehicles that AmmoDude has mentioned, so you guys can see what we were talking about. If you don't know what the vehicles are, the planes, the B1 you said?
The B1B and the SR-71.
Yep.
And you got to put stuff about the A10, man. The A10's
A10
the
Warthog.
baddest plane in the world, man.
The plane that they built the gun, or the gun they built the plane around.
Correct. And it is an amazing airship, and that needs to stay active. They cannot retire that thing.
What does it sound
an
like when the
amazing-
gun fires? Or did
Like
you ever hear it?
Huge fart.
Huge fart.
You don't hear it. I mean, the aircraft flies over. You see the aircraft literally slow down in space. The nose erupts in this huge smoke plume, and then you hear the Brit, like the brrrt, and then you see the desert just erupt from the rounds. 30mm rounds are big. It's amazing.
Brrr.
Yeah,
That's it.
and
It's done.
it's called A10 farts, but it's a quiet aircraft. It's hard to hear coming, but
You hear it
by
when
the
it
time you
fires.
figure out, yeah, after the Browns hit, you hear the sound. It's amazing
Brat.
because they're supersonic. Yep, it's an amazing aircraft.
Oh man, thank you so much again, dude. I will definitely
My
catch
pleasure.
you on the battlefield, my friend. Thank you for sharing that with everybody. To everybody watching, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us kind of chat a little bit about AmmoDude's experience. I'm gonna put, like I said, some links in there, guys, for you, and I'll put a little clip, maybe if I can, from Wind Talkers we can watch AmmoDude get shot into the sky. So I'll chat with you
Sounds
all
good.
again next time. Appreciate everybody. Goose out.
All right, see you on the battlefield.